Yes, it's Monday. Oh, God, 8 o'clock. Something's meant to be happening. Hey, it's the Monday assessment.
And your people gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the high times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this the Monday assessment by the View from the Medway Fancast, in partnership with Gillingham FC Supporters Club, Sports Social Podcast Network and Her Game 2, and sponsored by Snodhurst Used Car Sales and Service Station and Wiki Creative. Before we get started this evening, I do just want to give a big shout out to Malcolm, who did our intro tonight, who's currently not very well and has found out that he has a fractured neck. So, speedy recovery, Malc. Hopefully we'll see you back at Priestfield soon, mate, and we're all rooting for you. So without further ado, I will introduce our guests tonight. So we have Mr. Project 8000. Oh, for goodness sake. Second week in a row he's done it to me. Mr. No Name Anymore, Warren has gone to sea. We've got Cliff from the AI Sports Dad, and we have Jill's legend, Rob Taylor. Doesn't like Bob. So, anyway, gents, how are we, boys? I'll start with you, Cliff, and welcome to the show, mate.
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you very much for having me.
There we go. And Rob, how are you after the weekend? I'm sure there was a sore head in the Taylor household on Sunday, because there was definitely one in the Delo household on Sunday.
That was a great weekend and a great evening spending with you guys. It's it was didn't have a bad headache. Just enjoyed myself on Saturday night. It was a fantastic day, apart from the result, that is.
Yeah, and Warren.
YMCA.
Right, so before we get into the game itself, boys, I will just ask each of you a highlight of your weekend. Rob, please don't say my singing at karaoke, even though it was pretty good. But yeah, what was your highlight of the weekend, Rob?
Highlight, watching you on karaoke. Very, very entertaining.
And Cliff, your highlight of the weekend?
I think football aside, it had some stuff to do with the kids on Sunday. So yeah, always nice to spend a bit of time with them. Big kids getting bigger, so getting her to spend some time with us is always getting harder and harder. So yeah.
Yeah, and Warren, not Warren, what was the highlight of your weekend, mate?
Yeah, just going to see my mother on Sunday, and it was the other half's birthday yesterday as well. So the brother-in-law cooked us a nice meal. It was all a bit quiet, really, after last week, which was quite mental.
Yeah. I don't really have a highlight, really. It's not been a very good weekend, to be fair, apart from obviously spending the evening with Rob and his lovely lady, and having too many beers and crying on the train on the way home, apparently. Them straight whiskies were a little bit of a icebreaker for me, I think. Anyway, we move on to the views news, and I will hand over to Warren.
Yeah, all right, guys. But first, we go on to Gareth Ainsworth. It's been quite publicised over the last 2 days that he's going in for this medical procedure to his heart. and I wish Gareth a speedy and quick recovery. I suggest that if you want to get any better, Gareth, that you don't watch any of the games from last season under Bonner after the Barrow game, because you won't learn anything and it will depress you and put you into a downward spiral. But I wish you all the best. I hope that you get well soon after your op. First, I want to come to you, Rob. Being an ex-player and obviously Gareth's a manager, do you think that the PFA and LMA, because I see so many people now having different issues, do you think that the PFA and LMA should do more to testing those that have not necessarily still in football, but have gone out? Because I know it can be quite hard for some ex-pros.
Yeah, I think they could do more. I mean, the PFA, I haven't heard from them since I finished the game. I think they should check up on players on a yearly basis. Just send them a letter, just asking how they are and that kind of thing. They need any help with stuff. You seem to be chasing them all the time to help you out. Like injuries wise outside of football. Obviously, people get knee injuries or when they start feeling the pain of playing football, but you don't hear nothing from them. And although you're meant to be a lifetime member, you're not treated as a member. It's I think they're really poor on that side of it.
Yeah, I personally find that absolutely ridiculous because, I mean, I don't know what your subscriptions yearly were when you was a player, but I would imagine that it wasn't cheap. And for you to be cast aside, to me, is a bit harsh. So I'd like to go on to Cliff. Cliff, with the ongoing medical checkups that the managers get, do you think more should be done to detect some of these weaknesses in people's bodies a lot earlier, especially with managers where the stress is kind of a lot more than when you're just going out and playing football and training?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first one, I think it's great that they're the guys get these we're getting the tests from the LMA in the first place. I've not come up through anywhere near professional football, so I don't have insight necessarily into kind of what goes on. So to know that they're doing those tests in the first place is great. I think there's probably always more that that these bodies can be doing, and Rob, to kind of hear from your side is disappointing. You expect expect the professionals to be looked after. But yeah, to your point, Warren, I think especially the guys in those managerial positions, those positions of high stress, then yeah, there should absolutely be that the frameworks in place to look after them both physically and from a mental health standpoint as well.
Yeah, and what's your view on Gareth having the op now, Chris, rather than possibly either earlier in the season or later in the season? I don't know what the timings were like for him and how quickly he needed to go in, but it just seems a horrible time at the moment after our first defeat for us to lose Gareth for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I guess it depends, doesn't it, whether it was NHS or private, because obviously the NHS waiting list at the moment is a little bit ridiculous for anything. I think it's good. I think it's brave. I think the timing couldn't be any worse, but I think that I would rather Gareth have it done now and miss 4 games and not have it done and miss a lot longer. So yeah, I think it's good. I think he should have it done. We're in safe hands under Dobbo, so yeah, just let him have the operation. Miss the 4 games. The boys still know what they're going to have to do. I'm pretty sure that he's not going to be sitting there just leaving it all to Dobbo. He's probably going to be telling Dobbo exactly what he wants the lads to do. So yeah, we're just wishing well, really.
Yeah, and I think all of us agree that we wish Gareth a quick and speedy recovery. I'd just like to touch on one thing, and that is mental health. Now, I know that all of us suffer from certain parts of mental health. Now, it's becoming more and more prevalent, especially with the recent loss of Mark Beard, the Liverpool ladies manager or ex-Liverpool ladies manager, People like Gary Speed, people who have taken their own life once football's ended. I mean, Ricky Hatton with the sport of boxing. Surely we must be able to do something a lot more for these ex-sportsmen, because it must be a really hard environment, Rob, coming out of professional football and going into from full-time training, banter with the lads every day, travelling up and down, roommating, and then suddenly you're not playing anymore. You're not involved in a professional football club anymore.
It is hard. I mean, from my opinion, is that I felt like my life had ended as such, because you used to being told what to eat, what house to buy, what car to buy, what time you got to be in training, what clothes to wear sometimes, if you come in some ridiculous outfits, the manager will send you home and get changed, this kind of thing. And you just you just regimented, just a bit like the army, you regimented what to do every day. And when someone stops telling you what to do, you think to yourself, I've got to think for myself for once now. You think to yourself, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And you do have a panic up. It's like, I won't put it on being let out of jail, but that's what it feels like. You're coming out from an environment where that's all you know, and you've been plucked into everyone else's world, which, not being funny, when you're in the football world, you're in a bubble. When you get outside that bubble, you think, what are you going to do? And that's the panicking side of it. And then you haven't got that reassurance anymore of being around your friends, your mates you got through football, just the supporters behind you and all this kind of thing to give you that love. And you're on your own, basically. And it's really, really hard. And I found it really hard as well to try and get through it. And I can see why players and managers and this kind of thing do take their own lives, and younger players, especially when they get released from academies. I think, like the PFA, go to PFA again, I just hope they'll do more for these young players. I think they're starting to now. But for these other young boys that already took their own lives because they think their life's ended, and not good enough because that's a big pressure for them, because all the way through from the age of 7 to 16-year-olds, they've turned around and gone, oh, I'm professional football, I'm going to be a professional footballer. Now they've got to go and face people and they're embarrassed by not making it, and all their mates and that might take the mickey out of them, and that's the pressure that they might be under. And that's why these young lads, commit suicide, because the pressure of it is unreal.
Yeah, cheers, Rob. That's a brilliant insight you've just given us for any professional sportsman coming out of the game. And I really appreciate your honesty with the words that you came out with there, Rob. So, Chris, do you think that the PFA especially should do more for people, especially, I mean, everyone talks about the young kids and they're being helped along the way, but your 25 to 35-year-olds that have been playing professional football and suddenly they're thrown under a bus, told they're no longer wanted and no club wants them.
I think it's probably got a little bit better from when Rob played. I think that there is a lot more awareness with it within the PFA because they are obviously the go-tos now. I wouldn't know if it's necessarily 100%. I don't think it is. But you have to also think that these players that are 25 to 35 these days, a lot of them are on a hell of a lot more money than what was around when Rob was there. So, okay, money doesn't necessarily bring you happiness, but it definitely brings you choices. And I think that, they can retire and not have to work. So that's that side of it I'm not necessarily worried about. But I do think that there does need to be a lot more done across the board to a degree, but maybe not as much as what should have been done when like Rob was playing or, the likes of Hess and stuff.
Yeah, cheers, Chris. So I'll go to you, Cliff. What do you think could be done by the PFA or LMA to stop this sort of thing happening again? I mean, one person taking their own lives took one too many. What do you think could happen to ensure it never happens again?
I think there needs to be very specific kind of processes and frameworks in place for a variety of different situations for players, because as I've said, you've got these kids and these kids as teenagers who might not make out the academy, and they're going to need a different approach in terms of their kind of post football care in comparison maybe to someone who's who's played for 15 years and kind of has retired at the not natural end of footballing life, but you know what I mean. They've had their career and then retired. Are going to need very different levels of support. So I mean, definitely ensuring that those different kind of care and care pathways are laid out and in place for those different scenarios, because there is no one package fits all, especially in in sporting terms.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Anyway, thanks for your honesty, guys. I want to move on to something a bit more upbeat. Opening the town end on Saturday, Project 8000 ultimately failed because we only got 7,400 in the ground. Rob, I'll come to you first. What was it like? I mean, I know you played at places like Oxford during your career with the three sides and whatever. What did you find it like playing with just three sides of the ground open on the times that you did?
It's funny because I was there at the game Saturday, and nice seeing people in there, but it's nice when you get a ground that's all enclosed to play in, as a player, because the atmosphere is a bit better. Do you know what I mean? I've played at Oxford, obviously, with three sides as well, and obviously Wrexham had it when they had the cricket pitch next door, so the stand was a bit further away. But you find as a player that the atmosphere is much better when there's four sides for some reason. Don't know why, because the sound's kept in the ground, and to have an open place, what we did when the new stand was getting built, it felt like you was playing on a park pitch at sometimes, but on Saturday it's nice to see supporters in that stand at the bottom, because every time I've been, it's always been empty and it's not been used. So it's nice to see that the fans turned up and actually sat in there. And luckily it wasn't raining, so they didn't get wet.
Yeah, that was obviously an added advantage. Cliff, I'll come to you. What was your feelings when Joe Compter? I don't want to know about ticket price, and we'll go on to that in a minute. But what did you think of the town being open on Saturday?
So I loved several things about it. I think first of all was just the fact that there was so much buzz on Twitter about it. Like there was so many kind of posts going back and forth. So that was exciting. Just to see so much talk about that, and so therefore all the talk about the Gills. It was great having fans in the opposite end. We sit in the Rainham end, so to have fans down there and to hear them down there was great. I spent a lot of my kind of younger days in the terraces down at the town end, so I've got a bit of a special place for it. So yeah, it was great sitting down there. Great initiative. I'm glad they kind of picked up and ran with it. So yeah, it's great to see all around.
Yeah, Chris, what did you think was the one redeeming feature of having the town end open on Saturday?
I think it just gives the players a little bit more something to aim towards, doesn't it? But rather than just an empty stand. A lot of them were still shouting at their keeper when he was taking the goal kick, saying "oh," and the rest. It wasn't packed. I think it looked like we'd sold more than were actually there. But it was just nice to have that, four stands that actually had Gills fans in it, and not really many else. But yeah, it was nice to see that we had fans in there and screaming from all sides, really, mate. And yes, it wasn't absolutely packed, but it's better than having a totally empty stand.
Yeah, I mean, I personally would like to thank Joe and Brad and Shannon for getting it open and trying to get on board with Project 8000. It was a bit disappointing not to make the 8,000. I think if you're not going to get 8,000 for a team that's gone 21 unbeaten, when are you going to get a crowd of 8,000? In that point, it was disappointing. I know Harrogate didn't bring many, but at the end of the day, I still think there should have been 8,000 Gillingham fans in there, no matter what. And I just think this is where we struggle from the Paul Scally era, where Paul upset quite a fair few supporters, and they haven't come back. I know a lot go up to Chatham Town now. I know a lot go down to Sheppey, Sittingbourne, rather than come to Gills. So, and their attendance reflect that, because the rises in their attendances have gone up 20-fold since in the last 10 years. For me, I've always loved the town end. I used to stand up the town end all those years ago, and I can even remember the town end before segregation of football fans. So that's how far back I go on the town end. So we go on to the ticket pricing, and I'll come to you, Chris. What do you think of discount prices?
I think it works so long as you've got the numbers. There's no point giving discounted tickets for a £5. I'm not saying Saturday was that case. I'm just saying, like, in general, if you're going to give discounted tickets, you need to make sure you're filling it. And I think maybe that's where Brad, Shannon, and Joe have struggled to think about opening the town end before. Because if you open it and you've got, I don't know, 100 people there, you've then got to pay for stewards. You've then got to pay for food options. You've then got to pay for, people to attend toilets and stuff like that. So is it really worth it? I think what they've done on Saturday was brilliant. They've supported yourself with the Project 8000 and they've opened it. People did attend. But unless we're going to get that on a consistent basis in an end that's rarely used, then I don't know what good it's going to do unless we are filling it. I think I spoke to you earlier, Warren, and we just reiterate what you've just said about, the bringing like fans in, and if you're not going to back the team or attend the ground when we've gone 21 unbeaten, then when will we? I think the general consensus with these fans is still Scully's hanging around like a bad smell. I don't think that people do want to come to the ground, as you alluded to, and maybe that's just it. And maybe when all of these court proceedings and stuff that are going on that have been well documented in the news this week, maybe once they have, been put to bed, then the fans will start coming back a bit more. I mean, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can hashtag Project 8000. There's only so much the club can physically do to try and get these fans in. But if they're not coming back, then there's got to be a reason for it. And the common denominator there is Paul Scally. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah, and Cliff, I'll come to you. What do you think is worth more to the club, getting 3 people in for a £5 or 1 person in for 20 quid?
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, it's obviously there's benefits to both. It's obviously more sustainable from a business side going forward if you've got the money, that extra bit of money coming in. I think from a one-off, almost special occasion standpoint, I think doing something like they did at the weekend is great. I don't think it's necessarily sustainable, but you've got to do something at some point to try and kickstart bringing people back in, and even if half a dozen of those people, the people that came in and paid a £5 come back another 1 or 2 times because they came for a £5 at the weekend and enjoy their day out, then great. Then that's a reasonable success. But it's got to be, it's got to have that kind of knock-on effect.
Yeah, appreciate that. And Rob, I'll come to you finally. I mean, I know you're an ex-player, and I know you've been involved in football clubs after the Gills. What's your stance on ticket pricing discounts? Do you think they're worth it in the long run, or do you think it's a false economy?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's if the people come along, the supporters come along and enjoy the game and got a little bit of a buzz for it and want to come back, that's a good way of doing it. But I think there should be a tested and try for a little bit longer. Do it for a month or so, another 3 home games. And if it doesn't get any better, or it starts to fade away, and then just stop it. It's a trial and error sort of thing for them, isn't it, at the moment? So you try stuff, doesn't work, you try something else, and that's just the way it is in football.
Yeah, I think the prices could have been a bit higher. £10 a ticket would have been fair to try it out. But I'm not a great believer in discounts. I think if people want to go to football, they go to football. And if you're asking for season tickets holders to stamp up their money at the start of the season for each game, and people that have bought their tickets well in advance. So, like myself, I bought two £27 tickets in advance, right, before they announced that those £5 a ticket in the town end. It then puts you an obvious disadvantage. I like the idea of opening the town end. I like the idea of people going back into the town end to make four sides open. I would like to see an increase in the price because I don't think it's sustainable charging £5 a ticket. And when there's no guarantee that those people will come back, I think is a bit harsh. But I think if people are paying at least a tenner a ticket, I think they're showing a bit more commitment than just paying a £5. And I know that the other season that General Football Club said pay what you want, and most people paid £1.50 for a ticket, and that's just taking a bit. So, just before I finish, if anyone is struggling with mental health and they need somebody to talk to, please get in touch with me on Twitter. I think you know who I am by now. I'll always speak with anybody, whether it's I'll give you my phone number and you can ring me, right, or whatever. But please do not suffer in silence on your own and let things take over you, right? I'd rather you speak to me, right? It'll always be confidential. No one will ever know. But if you need to speak to someone, I'm always here. I'll hand you back over to Chris.
Yeah, I just want to quickly mention Gareth's new ride because I think we missed that one out, mate. Obviously, Gareth, he's now sponsored by Snodhurst, our sponsor, for his car. So he's got a nice car at the moment due to Snodhurst. So well done, John and Jamie. So we will quickly move on to the Harrogate facts. And Warren was alive for all of these. So Harrogate were founded in 1914, but due to World War One, didn't play their first game until 1919. Harrogate itself was voted the happiest place to live in Britain for 3 consecutive years, from 2013 to 2016, even up at 15. And Harrogate also hosted the 1982 Eurovision Song Contest. So, for a second week in a row, the team was left unchanged. We had Glenn Morris in goal. We then had a back four of Max Clark, Andy Smith, Sam Gale and Romeo Hutton. We then had Robbie McKenzie just in front of them. A middle three of Johnny Williams, Bradley Dack and Johnny Smith. And a top two of Josh Andrews and Elliot Nevitt. So, Warren, I'll go with you first, mate. And what were your thoughts on the lineup? Obviously, totally unchanged personnel-wise from the week before, apart from maybe minor alterations with Williams and Johnny Smith. So, yeah, your thoughts on the team, mate?
Yeah, after the first half of Newport and the way we saw out the game at Newport, I didn't expect to see any changes unless we had any further injuries. I think it was another week, those that were still struggling, your Marnie Littles, were able to take another week off, and before getting them back fit, we're making sure that they're getting back fit. I couldn't see any reason to change it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cliff, yourself?
It's again, no surprise not to see the change. It's been nice to see the consistency generally we've had kind of across the bulk of the team. I think maybe, and we'll kind of get into the game in a minute, maybe that bit us a little bit in terms of how Harrogate set up against us. But yeah, it's been nice to see the consistency. Can't argue with anything. And I remember sort of sitting down and have a look at the team with my brother on Saturday, and strong team. And you look at the bench as well, and it's an incredibly strong bench. So it's going to be some interesting positional competitions coming on in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and Rob, obviously, mate, you don't watch every single game, but what did you think of the lineup itself? Obviously, you've watched a few of these players over the last couple of seasons when you've been to the Gills. What were your, but without going into the game, what did you think of the formation more than the lineup?
It's attacking formation, but for me, it's like if it's not broken, don't fix it, and that's the way it is. If you're winning games of football, it brings confidence in the players, bringing players in and out of the team. It sort of like dismantles it a little bit and the togetherness. So it was right to go with the same team on Saturday you did the week before.
Yeah. So we got the game itself, and the stats are on the screen if anyone wants to see them. But Warren, I'll go with you and an overall view of the game itself, like from start to finish. I was a little bit annoyed that Duke McKenna was able to glide across 3 or 4 defenders unchallenged, considering it's our strongest point. For me, it was a typical classic away performance where they scored a goal and shut up shop. So yeah, Warren, your overview.
Yeah, we've done it to teams. We did it to Oldham. We got a draw at Accrington playing like it. Yeah, I'm sure that over the next few weeks you'll see little changes. Maybe, as Jason has just said, Palmer holding up front. Ogie may be coming in at the back. But we controlled the game without ever looking likely to score. I'd just like to ask Rob a question. Rob, who would you most like to play against if you were back playing again? Steve Smith or Sam Gell?
I don't know really, because obviously football's different nowadays, but at the end of the day, it's like for me, Sam Gell was a very, very good Saturday for me as a centre half. Smith's another one. They both done really well, apart from the goal scenario, because no one out engaged in the strike on the edge of the box. They let him dribble it across. No one went out to close it down. They all stood up and they got punished for it. But I mean, I thought the team was well balanced. First half weren't so good. Second half they were very good, but they just couldn't quite get the breakthrough.
Yeah, I just didn't feel we were ever likely to score. It was just one of them days where Harrogate came down. They defended. They all did their jobs brilliantly, each to a man for Harrogate. And at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to doff your cap and say, "Well done, lads. You come and did a job on us."
Yeah, I think so as well. And Cliff, I think that was quite. Well, they were very well drilled, weren't they? You have to they defended very well. They literally just got every man behind the ball. That Duke McKenna looks a little bit of a problem of players, a little bit of a shithouse, to be fair. Because there was many a time from where I sit in the Medway where he was going at the fourth official, he was going at the referee, even at full time when they were walking off the pitch, he was having a bit of a go. But I think they were very well drilled, Harrogate, and I wouldn't say they necessarily deserved the win. But they definitely deserve something from the game. So,
yeah, absolutely. They, as kind of said earlier, them getting that early goal for them was pretty much as the ideal scenario, because then they could do what they did right, which was then shut up shop. And then I think a combination of they kind of sat back and defended well, and it was just one of those days where our passes were, an inch or two too far away from the guy receiving it, and we just, some of the things and the little bits of luck that had fallen our way over the last kind of 21 games just didn't happen for us. And for all of the attacking we did in that second half, I think I think the closest we came were a couple of headers that went maybe marginally wide from corners. But yeah, other than that, I don't think we really tested. Was it Belshaw in goal? So yeah, but it's kind of weird. So I didn't come away necessarily feeling obviously disappointed we lost, but I don't feel overly negative about it. It's just one of those days in football sometimes where the luck just doesn't fall on your side.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think I speak for a lot of fans where I left the ground just thinking, we've lost. We actually did give it a go, and I think that's all we can really ask as Gills fans. If a team are giving it a go and you can see that they're trying, it's just sometimes it's just doesn't work out for you. Rob, I know we spoke when we were out the other night, and you said about Josh Andrews, and you don't know what to make of him. So yeah, have you had time to think of that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a big lump up front. I think he can do more as a striker. I mean, if you're not playing as well yourself, you just don't let the two centre halves play either. That's how I was taught. You're having a bad game, just don't let the other players play. So I think he could have bullied the centre halves a bit more with his strength and the size of him, and give the team a bit of a respite, because first half Harrogate did have a lot of the ball in the Gillingham half, and they were putting them under pressure, and they're playing some nice football at times in the first 15 minutes. But as soon as they got the goal, like you said, they sat in. But he's got to get hold of the ball, get time for the midfield players to join in, the wide players to join in, the fullbacks to get forward more then. And it's all about trust in a team. So if you know that centre forward's going to get hold of the ball, you know you can push on. If you've got a centre forward that's not getting hold of it, it's coming back all the time, you're not going to push the back four up. You're not going to get out your own half. Yeah. And then obviously the changes come second half, and it's a bit different. People were chasing stuff, a bit more quicker players, on the pitch kind of thing changed it a little bit. So yeah, it's just on that side of it. I know he scored goals and all this kind of thing for him, but he can do a little bit more off the ball for the team.
Yeah, I think he can. And, we talk about one striker that can do a bit more off the ball for a team. And then you've got a striker that does everything off the ball for a team, but doesn't actually hold the ball up or score in Elliot Nevitt, Cliff. And he's becoming a bit of an enigma, mate, isn't he?
He is. He's an odd one. Because you watch and obviously what you want from your striker is, you want goals. But, okay, we're not getting the goals for him, but I still want him on the pitch, because he hounds defenders, he chases after, and you watch him at set pieces, and you watch him when he's standing on the goalkeeper's toes before those corners, giving it all that, and you want that kind of stuff going on in there to give you opportunities for other players to be able to sneak in and get it. So he is an enigma. He's as I say, striker that's not scoring goals at the moment. I absolutely want him on the pitch.
Yeah, I say that, Warren, and I do understand what Cliff says, but as Rob has already alluded to as well, as soon as you brought Seb Palmer-Holden on, it was like day and night with the running and everything else. So, are you satisfied with Nevitt being in the starting 11, or would you, as soon as Seb's fit, would you drop him?
I personally think that Nev's probably a bit unhappy in the role he's being asked to play. Because at the end of the day, Nev's a striker, and he's not necessarily playing up alongside Andrews. Mm-hmm. He's playing in a wider area, right, which is just off of Andrews, right, but a little bit deeper. And I always look at strikers, and when you play as a pair, you play as a pair, and you're two up front. I mean, you look at Rob and Carlos Saba. You look at Dave Shearer and Tony Cascarino. They worked as a partnership. And I just think that Nev is a bit too, in the role that Nev's being asked to play, he's a bit too far off Andrews to be able to get any knock-ons. And as Rob alluded to, if Andrews isn't going to hold the ball up and allow players like Nev to get in, right, I just can't see how he is going to score that many goals, because wherever he's playing, he's isolated. And I just, it works tirelessly for the team. I mean, no one leaves more out there or any less out there on the pitch than what Nev does. But I would just like to try and see us put him in a position where he can score goals and we're making chances for him, rather than him having to feed off scraps and try and make something happen himself.
But then
I'll just say something. Is that all right?
Yeah, go, mate.
It's just the thing for me is that you can't change the team next Saturday. You can't just, because you lost one game in 21, whatever it is, and change the team. These players have been getting results. They need to stay in the team. They need to put the same team out and go put it right. If it doesn't go right the following game, and then you make changes. Simple as that. Because you've got to give the players a chance to turn it around themselves. And it's be down to them to go out there and prove to the manager, prove to the supporters that they should be in that team every single week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I personally would like to see Sam Vokes start a game. I think with the nous that Sam Vokes has got, and he's a big, experienced centre forward. I think with him in the side, just for a game, give Andrews a bit of a rest. Maybe play Nevitt next to him and see how that works. Because I know for a fact that Vokes would probably find Nevitt, whereas I think that too much is being put on Andrews to just be that big battering ram. And I think he's a bit more than that. Like when we signed him, he said, like, I can run at players. I've got a bit of pace about me. And at the moment, he's just being used as that Ollie Hawkins type where loft it upfield and get him to jump or get him to lay it off, and it's not working. So maybe give him a rest. I definitely think, and I mean, I've heard stuff this week, absolutely ridiculous stuff that people don't rate Andy Smith. And I just think he's been one of our best players this season so far. Maybe he needs a rest. Shad's back. Shad's on the bench for the last 2 games. I think maybe if he came back in, that would give Andy the rest that he needs. But yeah, Rob, I think you're right, because if you start taking the team apart after one defeat, their confidence is just going to be through the floor. So you definitely need to keep that right. So anything else on the game, lads, before we move on to Phil's thoughts and then our man of the matches? No. Okay. No. So we move on to Phil's thoughts then.
No 2 ways about it. That was a really disappointing way to end our unbeaten run. We dominated the game. We had loads of chances. We did all the right things some of the time. Unfortunately, we didn't score a goal. And they did. And this is a game where you need to score goals. If you don't score goals, you don't win games. So there we go. Unbeaten run. Well, it was nice while it lasted. Top of the league. Well, we could still be another day. Let's see what happens next week. And as ever, up the Jewels.
Up the Jewels indeed. So we will move on to our man of the matches. And Rob, you went for Sam Gale. Your reasons as to why?
I just felt in the second half, he was trying to drive the team on. He was carrying the ball forward, getting the supporters involved in the game. He was the only one who's taking risks with the ball as well, bringing it out, playing some lovely passes in there. And he just tried to drive the team. And I think that's half the reason why the team did better in the second half. There
we go. And Cliff, you also went for Sam Gale. So your reasons as to why?
I did, yeah. I'm a massive fan of Sam. I love the passion he brings every Saturday. Yeah, even when things weren't going so well last year, he was one of the few that was still, coming out and giving it his all. In terms of like specifically the weekend, I mean, he was particularly strong at the back. He was putting in some really strong tackles. But I've also liked over the last few weeks seeing some of those forward runs where he picks up the back. Have a look. There's nothing on. Sees a bit of space. He's like, I'm going. I've liked that. And yeah. So that's why he's my man of the match.
There we go. And Warren, you've gone for Sam Gale.
No.
I think I'm the odd one out here.
The only thing I'll say about Sam and Andy Smith is they need to start to turn on a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. That's 2 weeks running now. First 15 minutes we've been caught. And they do need to... I know they're only young, but they're good players, but they just, both of them, they need to switch on a little bit earlier for me. But just like Rob alluded to, Sam was the only one who started to drive and wanted to take a few risks, and I didn't think many other players wanted to take that risk on Saturday. Mm-hmm. We didn't run into spaces like we did at Newport. We didn't battle as hard for the ball as we did against Newport. Whether that was a tactic and Gareth changed tactics, I don't know, to suit the opposition. But I just felt that it was a little bit pedestrian at times, and the only time we looked dangerous was when Sam was driving the team on and trying to make something happen. So he got my man of the match for this week.
I don't know if I should put mine up now, should I? Like, I feel like a proper odd one out. So I went for Johnny Williams because I just felt, Johnny's had a bit of a rough time since he's been with us. He's put in some really good performances lately. I don't think he stopped running on Saturday. I think he was trying to make things happen, even though they weren't really happening. But then that could be said for 90% of the squad. It was very close between him and Sam. And I do agree with the three of you that he was very good. But just for me, Johnny tipped it because, I just think he was trying. Problem with Johnny, I think he's got to the point now where he's missed 60 minutes. I think after the 60th or 70th minute, he probably should have come off because he then starts making a few mistakes. But on the whole, for me, Johnny was, he tipped it over Sam just about because he's not had the best time since he's been here. And he's got a few pelters, but he always steps up and he tries. So that was that for me. So we'll quickly move on to the View 6 this week. Obviously, they are on the screen. So ours from last week and Dino's from last week. And then the results were Crew 2, Notts County 1, Chesterfield 4, Newport 1, Gillingham 0, Harrogate 1, Swindon 2, Bromley 0, Bristol Rovers 2, Salford 1, and Crawley 1, Barrow 2, which left us on 4 points and the guest on 4 points, meaning overall, the guest has 60 points and we have 53. So we've got a lot of catching up to do. And I blame Warren for his prediction last weekend. So we move on to this week's results. And we've gone 1-0 Barnet against Accrington, Cambridge 1, Crawley 1, Salford 2, Grimsby 1, Walsall 2, Bristol Rovers 0, Barrow 3, Shrewsbury 0, MK Dons 1, Gillingham 2, and Cliff's gone 4. Barnet 1, Accrington 0, Cambridge 2, Crawley 0, Salford 3, Grimsby 2, Walsall 2, Bristol Rovers 1, Barrow 2, Shrewsbury 0, and MK Dons 0, and Gillingham 1. So, Cliff, any actual reasons behind it, or just a bit of a shot in the dark? I know you said earlier you was going to do something with it. So, please explain.
Yeah, sure. So something I do weekly over on my YouTube channel is I'll put the week's Premier League games and the Gills game through my my AI sports predictor. So I did that with these games. There's a video over on my YouTube which kind of explains how that's all put together. So kind of put that through with all the information. And this is kind of what's been come out with. I'd be more than happy to pop back up to Milton Keynes and nick another 1-0 after last week. Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of it kind of comes down, like with the other games, comes down to I think Barnet nick it, but pretty based on home advantage there. Salford and Grimsby I think will be an interesting one. I think there's definitely going to be a fair few goals there. So yeah, but it's so the whole, especially kind of the top half of the division, feels so open, like at the moment. It could be interesting. A lot of these could go either way.
Yeah. I think for us, we just shoot in the dark every week, as you can tell by the actual bloody results. 7 points behind now. So we move on to our look ahead to MK Dons. I'm staying in a lovely hotel, the Hilton at MK Dons on Friday. I didn't actually realise that they've got rooms that have got windows onto the actual pitch itself. So they've upgraded me to one of them. I didn't even know that existed. So that will be very nice. So Milton Keynes have lost, drawn, win. And we've won, drawn, 1-1, lost. So, Rob, I know you probably won't be there, mate, because I know you have a lot of going on with the kids and that. But what would your aspirations be for Gills next week, considering this loss this week?
Well, I've just got to try and hopefully come away with at least a point on Saturday. That's a starting point. Get the confidence back in the lads. Get the heads up, give a bit of a boost, and hopefully look forward to. Like I said on Saturday, I can't remember who it was now. I just said Saturday that as long as you're up there at January, turn of February time, then that's when you can start thinking about good things and that. And it's nice to have a loss. I'm not saying losing's good, But I'm glad it's happened now, and now they can rectify that and work on the bad things. Worst thing is get to beginning of February and you lose a game, and then like it did Saturday, and it's like panic station starts setting in. There's more pressure then because you've only got 2 or 3 months left at the end of the season. But it's good it's happened now. They can rectify it early now.
Yeah, and I think I said this as well on Saturday, Rob and Warren. I think I said, like, we've lost the game, but now we will see the true bottom of the team. We will see how they will step up, because it's all very well and good going 21 games unbeaten, and I really respect what they've done, and I'm happy and proud of what they've done. But you will now see the true bollocks of the group and see how they bounce back, Warren. So, yeah, what are your hopes and aspirations, Warren, for Saturday?
I'm just hoping we don't lose. I think we will, but then I think that every week. So,
and this is why we're losing.
The last 21 weeks, I've been wrong. So, no, it all depends on MK. I know they've had a lot of injury issues up until Saturday. I don't know whether they had any players back on Saturday because they won, but they've had a lot of injury issues from the start of the season. So their form's not really something you can look at in the fact that I think either last week or the week before, they only had 10 fit full-time professionals available, and they had to fill the team and the bench with youth team players. Any club that gets into that predicament is going to struggle. I think if they're getting their players back, they're going to be a hard team to beat. It's definitely not going to be any walkover. And any Jules fan who thinks it is needs their head testing. It's not an easy place to play at Milton Keynes because it's such a vast stadium and with hardly anyone in it, or looks like there's hardly anyone in it. And the away fans are so far away from the pitch, it's hard to transfer the noise downwards onto the pitch at MK. As long as we don't lose, I don't care.
Yeah, and Cliff, yourself, your hopes and aspirations for this coming Saturday. Kick-off's at 12:30, which means we won't get any chance to have a beer beforehand, so that's a bit annoying.
Yeah, it's an early train for me on Saturday morning. I just want to see a response. I want to see them, come out and show that, they've obviously kind of worked on stuff during the week and that they're back and ready to start, swinging punches again. I'd like to see a little bit more variety in kind of how we go about, how we go about the attack, as opposed to, just keep lofting long balls up to Josh Andrews. But yeah, I think the most important thing for me is the response from the players. Come out swinging, come back fighting, and even if it's a scrappy 0-0 draw, as long as we've come out and we've shown that spirit, then great. But yeah, seeing the response, especially A, coming off a loss, B, with Gareth having to step away, I think it's going to be interesting to see how we set up and how we respond.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Rob said earlier about not changing the team. I can honestly see us reverting to a back five this weekend, just as an extra precautionary, potentially either moving Mackenzie into the back five, or Shad coming in. I can see us doing that just to try and be a little bit cautious, because I do feel that, I don't know, maybe Gareth is going to say that to Dobbo, and maybe he won't. Maybe we stick with the four. But I do think that with the plethora of talent that MK Dons have purchased in the summer, we have to be very, very careful, because yes, they haven't been in great form, but they have great players. So yeah, that's my fault. So before we do go, boys, I would obviously like to thank you all. We are obviously sponsored by Stolto's Used Car Sales and Service Station and Wiki Creative, in partnership with Gillingham FC Supporters Club, Harrogate 2 and Sports Social Podcast Network. Now, before we do go, is there any other business that you'd like to ask Warren?
Yeah, the first thing I'd like to say is a big thank you to John Privet of Stolto's Car Sales, who, without me knowing, I turned up after having 6 pints on Saturday, and then suddenly he's saying, you need to get on the pitch. Right? Aaron walked out the centre circle, I don't know, but without falling over. But hey ho. But I really appreciate John doing it. I'd like to say thank you to Swanee for buying me a beer and a sturdy for what I did. But most of all, I want to thank all the Jules fans for all the support that I got last week on Twitter, private messages, and Gillingham fans all sticking together. I had not one negative comment last week about what I was doing. And you know what? I was really proud of Gillingham fans last week. And we got 7,400 in the gate, which is nearly 2,000 more than our 2 previous games against Harrogate. So at the end of the day, did I do something all right? Yeah, maybe so.
There we go. And obviously, Cliff, you run a very successful channel, the AI Sports Dad. So would you like to tell people about that?
Yeah, I think you're being very kind. It's so very new and still quite small. But yeah, so I wanted to kind of start something that encompassed a bunch of my passions, and that's sports, obviously football being one of them, helping people kind of get the best out of the new AI tools and stuff that's coming out there. So there's a combination of kind of sports related stuff on my channel, and kind of what I hope anyway, kind of a helpful guides and for how to use these tools, fun things you can do with your kids. I put one up last week where me and my daughter were sitting there making up just ridiculously crazy songs, which was great fun, and it's not necessarily about okay, here's how you create music. There, it's here's something you can do to spend time with your older child who would much rather be just sat upstairs in a room playing Roblox. So so it's kind of put that stuff out there. As I say, it's still quite young. I've only been doing it for probably a couple of months now, but yeah, it's been good fun so far.
Yeah, brilliant. And Rob, is there anything you'd like to say about Saturday or afterwards? Or...
I can't say nothing what went on Saturday. I get in trouble, Chris, if I said anything about Saturday.
Oh God. Mate, I'll tell you what,
My lips are sealed.
Yeah. Well, would you like to tell people how good I am at singing?
Oh, you got to go on the X Factor. You get people behind you clapping you and everything you were after you finished.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. At least I got a few claps.
What's your karaoke song?
Mac the Knife.
Nice.
A bit of Frank Sinatra, but it's got to be in the Robbie Williams version. Well, Rob was saying to me on Saturday, he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What song are you talking about? No one knows what song you're talking about. And then,
he's got to sing with 20 pints inside him as well. That's even funnier.
I need 20 pints to listen to him.
No, it's the whiskey for me. The whiskey done me. So yeah. Right. Anyway, boys, if we've got nothing else, then I think we've come to the end of the show. So we've got a few comments. Vokes and Seb on the wings, and McCleary, Seb and McCleary on the other. At times, Nevitt takes too many touches. He's predictable. Pressure mounting on Nevitt. Confidence low. Needs to be taken out and used as sub. Jason has put a lot of off-ball hold up from Andrews. More importantly, he clearly wants to play. Conceded desire. Nevitt is a great addition with his hounding and getting in defenders' heads. It's great to watch every week. And there's a few more, but we'd be all right because there's quite a few actually. So if I didn't read them out, guys, then sorry. But if we're all done then, boys, we will say goodnight. Thank you, Warren, for doing your views news. It's always much appreciated. I'm trying to get that comment off the screen, but for some reason I can't. There we go. Anyway, so there's nothing else. I've been Chris. He's been Warren. He's been Cliff. He's been Rob. Good night and up the Jills.
Thank you very much.
No.